Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. This could push the gold market to new heights. Let's explore. You're probably wondering what this is. Well, it's simply just a box covering up what's underneath, and that's going to give the answer away. But before we reveal what that is, I want to talk a little bit about gold. Gold is seen as the most stable of hard assets out there. It is considered money, a store of wealth, a hedge against economic instability. But in this age of digital transactions and, of course, the ease of being able to transact over the internet, well, there's a lot of different options out there. There's ways to be able to accumulate and build wealth. Building wealth is something that has certainly intrigued investors from all generations, and that is something that is not lost on the younger generations or those who are tech savvy and the like. Nonetheless, gold's volatility has been somewhat recognizable in recent years. We've seen gold's prices move in both directions pretty dramatically over the last year or so, but only by so much. There is a stopgap with gold because gold is a metal that is treasured, and it has been treasured for centuries. Well, for millennia. That will not change no matter what happens in the marketplace or no matter what new shiny object that comes across that generations or those that look at them and say, well, hey, this new shiny object, which by the way is not an object at all, is the thing to get into. And what is that which could push the gold market to new heights? Boom, shalaka boom. It is Bitcoin. And now, how will Bitcoin push the gold market to new heights? Well, I'm going to be referencing an article here from CNBC whose headline states this: what is going to bring investors back into the gold market? Because given gold's volatility, it's not nearly as volatile as Bitcoin, and that is what is going to drive investors back into gold. And you can invest in the gold market in different ways, for sure. But having the physical metal, it's not seen or should not be seen as an investment at all. Although it obviously is an investment in wealth preservation, for sure. But that is sort of getting into the semantics there. But there are volatilities and cryptocurrencies that will drive investors into gold, according to an executive chairman of a gold mining firm, Evolution Mining. Well, consider the source, but nonetheless, I believe there is some truth in this information. Wild swings from cryptocurrencies will eventually, and it's not saying it's going to happen overnight, but we have seen a lot of volatility in Bitcoin that probably has some people jaded. It'll eventually drive Bitcoin investors to return to gold, says this executive chairman of Evolution Mining. Jake Klein said Bitcoin still has a long way to go before it demonstrates the kind of longevity and security that gold has proven to offer investors over the last 70 years. Well, I would say even longer than that, but nonetheless, cryptocurrencies are running a massive amount of speculative money, he told CNBC Squawk Box Asia. I think that the volatility in the crypto space is going to ultimately lead to people coming back to gold, Klein said. Gold prices have fallen over the past week, and some say that they will likely drop further before they go up again. But I think that given where gold's all-time high was, back in about this time last year, well, its fallback has only been a couple of $100 percentage-wise, kind of where it was before. There is essentially a solid resistance level for gold. It can only go down so much. And that is something that a lot of these crypto investors, they kind of don't fully grasp that in some extent. And by the way, that's not saying that people can't have both gold and Bitcoin. Being diversified there's something to be said for that diversification, and there are many that watch this channel who are and have profited greatly from Bitcoin. But I'm just talking about generally and overall, this is something that could be seen, a mass exodus, as it were, especially for those who are solely into some of these cryptocurrencies, may look at gold, thinking, what, this is a safer bet, and its performance is something that cannot be denied over the long course of time. Klein said the two can coexist, as I just mentioned. There are opportunities for gold to sit alongside Bitcoin, as opposed to Bitcoin posing a threat to the precious metal. Bullion investors view Bitcoin as digital gold and a hedge against inflation, expecting the cryptocurrency to appreciate over time. American investor Tyler Winklevoss, who founded Winklevoss Capital Management as well as Gemini Cryptocurrency Exchange, said last year that Bitcoin is gold 2.0 and that it will disrupt gold. Billionaire investor Kevin O'Leary said in April that Bitcoin will always be the gold of the crypto sphere, and Ethereum will always be the silver. However, there are also other investors who disagree. Hedge fund manager Ray Dalio, despite owning an undisclosed amount of Bitcoin, said earlier this month, "If you put a gun to my head and you said I can only have one, I would choose gold." Well, as for me, you didn't have to put a gun to my head. What little crypto gains I did get, I cashed out. Well, I literally used that Bitcoin to buy gold, Bitcoin profits. Bitcoin topped $48,000 over the weekend, which is the highest level since May. And there are some gains paired. The last trade was 44,000 according to CoinDesk data. We did see it get much higher. We saw it gone up to 60 some odd $1,000. And the weekend spike followed a sell-off in June and July when Bitcoin fell below $30,000. So literally it was cut in half from its all-time high. You didn't see that with gold, for sure. Gold prices have also been swinging against gains and losses this year, from levels above $1,900 in January, and again keeping in mind that last year at this time it was over $2,000, almost $2,100 by some accounts. Prices fell to just above $1,700 in March. It did touch in the high 16s, as we saw it on this channel live during a market watch on a Sunday night market watch. In June, the precious metal spiked to $1,900 again, before paring gains back to trades above $1,700 in August. So we are seeing some volatility in the gold space, but not nearly to the level that we see in the crypto sphere. Now, on the other hand, on the other side of the token, we have an article from Kitco about Peter Schiff. He regrets not getting into Bitcoin, but it says it's too late because its days are numbered. He sees the crypto sphere kind of going to the way of what we saw with the housing market and the bubble, the stock market bubble. The stocks, the .com stocks that went bankrupt in 2000, and then talking about this .com rally in the 2008 housing market. He sees Bitcoin in that area. Those bubbles are about to pop. So we shall see. That very well could happen, because everything does seem inflated these days. You've heard the term the everything bubble. Well, this could be the beginning of the everything bubble here, and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies being a part of that. Now, does that mean they'll go away? No, I think that cryptocurrencies are here to stay in one form or another. They'll be utilized, if not nationalized to some extent. The blockchain technology behind them is paramount, and in fact, we already are seeing evidence that these cryptocurrencies or gold and silver backed cryptos are something that are being talked talked about and utilized. And in fact, I would even go as far as to say that, we say that we may see the normalization. It may be a good thing to see these things kind of break down, and we see Bitcoin as a more stable asset in due course and be utilized. It is utilized in transactions, and I think that is its saving grace. But nonetheless, I believe the investors out there who essentially buy to earn a profit, as an investment, that's not what gold is about. And people could run to the safety of gold, and if a lot of that money that's been invested in that sphere moves into gold, it could send that market to new heights. We're not that far away again. People start to take and realize that gold is a much more proven asset over the course of history. There's only a finite amount of it, for sure, and it has been treasured and valued not just by fellow, quote, investors, but by central banks. You don't see central banks storing up bitcoins or other. There's talk about cryptocurrencies being allowed to be utilized in certain nations, which I think is part of what has driven the bull market for Bitcoin. But Peter Schiff says that's about to end, even though I don't believe it's going to be the end of cryptocurrencies. But you know what? It could be the end of Bitcoin itself. It could be that some other crypto emerges to be the top dog. I liken it, as you've heard me talk about in prior videos, it to the social media platforms. MySpace was all the rage, seemed undefeatable in its heyday. Now Facebook is here, and to a certain extent it seems undefeatable, but in a sense it has been threatened by other forms such as Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and other social media platforms where the next generation is moving towards. Nonetheless, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but I do believe that that movement and that revelation by investors about gold could push it to new heights. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.